Welcome to another Fountain Pen Day review. Today's review is going to be on the Visconti Homo Sapians Lava Pen Steel Age Midi version. I'll do a quick unboxing just so you can see what you get when you do get one of these. I got this one second hand. It was nice that the person before me did save all the outer box case that it came in, inner box with the brochure. Doesn't have the polishing cloth, which for me is no big deal. I mean, you can get a polishing cloth anywhere, but if you buy it new, you will get it. Brochure is nice, full color, shows you pens that you might one day own, some pens that you'll never own. I actually looked this one up. I flipped through this the other day. This Divina HRH is a beautiful pen at $42,000. 42,000 US dollars. The Alchemy HRH, which again, I mean, these are gorgeous pens, but 57,000 US retail. So they all have their place, but again, there are pens that are within our reach and achievable, which may take the sting of buying this one. You know, may make it a little better. It is not an inexpensive pen, but it's also a very nice pen. Beautiful pen. Incredibly well made. Nice inner box. You know, the inside is very nice. Where the pen sits. Look, a little Bay State blue. Okay. The pen itself. It's just a little bit smaller than its big brother. But the materials are the same, except for obviously being stainless steel. The steel, they call it a stainless marine grade, so it won't, tarnish, rust, or anything like that. Where, the bronze has a natural aging effect to it. So this one will stay nice, shiny. It's a 50-50 blend of lava and resin, and you can see that it is, by the texture on it, I'll get it just right. You can see it is hygroscopic. When I reviewed the other one, I said the same thing because it is. I mean, it does actually absorb the oils and sweats from your hand when you write, and creates an incredibly unique feeling. Fit and finish, perfect. This it's so well made. So we'll start with the cap. This top part of the cap where it's got the Visconti logo, you get them if you have a magnet. You can actually remove it, and you can order different ones. You can order your birthstone, your astrological sign, different colored stones that may better suit you. The clip has Visconti on both sides. Getting a little bit of a glare, sorry. The bands on it that are steel, very nice. Again, they don't protrude. They're not flush. They stick out a little bit, but they're rounded. The clip is really nice. One-handed operation. It's strong. It's got you can feel the spring in it, but it's made. So if you hold it like this, you can just slide it right into your pocket. To remove the cap, again, it's a focus. All right. It just push and turn. It's one simple motion. It's not tight at all. It's tight. It won't come off. But I mean, to take it off and remove it, it's very easy. You can see the inside of the cap. It's very thin construction, but again, very, very strong. I mean, this will not. They say that it's unbreakable. But again, you can see the texture of it. Really nice. Now, for the pen, I was just fooling around with it earlier. I finally got some time with it. So you'll see you can see a little bit of staining here from, I'm using Bay State blue in it, which is a brutally blue ink, which is why it's all over my hands as well. But it does clean off. It will come off. I just haven't taken the time to do it. This has a 23 karat Palladium Dreamtouch nib, meaning it takes virtually no pressure at all to write, and that's the whole premise of this, is that you can write with the lightest of hand. You can see here with these grooves right here where the cap actually locks in. Very unique system, works excellent. Really nice, smooth operation. Close up of this nib. The nib is really nice. This nib is not a bitone color like its larger brother. It's also a number 4 size nib, so it's a little bit smaller, but it performs beautifully, you'll see. Plastic feed. Here you have another stainless ring. This one is the one that's inscribed, and it says Homo Sapians on it. This is a piston filler. What's different about this one is that the other one's a power filler where you unscrew it, you pull back, the bar comes all the way out, and when you dip it in, you push down and let the ink suck back up into it. This one is actually an internal, basically an internal cartridge filler. I mean, it just, you twirl it out, it comes out about this far. I'll show you when we ink it. Turn it back in, pulls the ink into itself, and everything is, like I said, internal and inside. I don't know that you can take this apart. I've never seen or heard of anyone being able to do it. So in that respect, it's not user serviceable. The nib and feed are. Like I said, I was fooling with it earlier, so I'm not going to take it back apart. Sorry. But because when you do take the nib and feed out on something like this one, it is just pressure fit. So you're going to grab here, and it'll come straight out. You may have to wiggle it a little bit to get it to come out, but when you do that, you do offset the nib and the feed. So if you put it back a little bit off, you may have issues, starting, stopping. You may unadjust your nib, how it's set. But for those who want to know, yes, you can take it out. It does come straight out. Where it sits inside, there's not an extra cutout for the nib space. It's perfectly round in there, so it will slide straight back in without any problem. Again, I just reset it. It was running. It was a tad dry, so I just opened it up a little bit, which obviously you can see I'm wearing a lot of ink. Alright, and that's about it. I will be right back. We're going to weigh it, ink it, and write with it. I'll try and write with this on a few different papers because it's a typical Visconti. It is going to write wet. You can adjust it yourself if you know how. If you don't know how, don't bother. Send it to somebody and tell them you want it to write a little bit drier or a little bit wetter. But again, Visconti's never had a problem with writing wet. Alright, we're back. We'll get this weighed out. Again, this is going to be in grams. 37.2 uninked. The cap alone is 14.4. This is give or take. This isn't 100%, but it's pretty close. 22.7 for the pen alone. And with this pen, it's really, you can post it. Everybody wants to see, can you post it? Yes, you can post it, and it will stay, but it is back heavy. You saw alone, it's 14 grams for the cap alone. So it's got, weight. Some people like that, though. And if you do, then that's fine. It will post, it will stay. It's not going to harm the pen. I mean, this stuff is indestructible. They'll post it at your own risk if just in case it were to make a mark. But again, you can see inside it. It's just a lava and the resin mixture. In here, there's no metal, no brass, no anything on the inside of this. The way it's constructed. To give a quick size comparison before I do the writing, you have the regular bronze edition, which is the full size. Here's a TWSBI 580, which is the same size as the 540. You can see it's a little bit longer. The Pelican. Here's a Pelican 400 right next to it. All right, and we'll do a Mont Blanc 146. which is pretty close in comparison, except for the nib size. 146 having a size 6 nib, and this having a 4. You can see the nib size difference. And on the bronze edition, which again I said has the, like I said, has that two-tone nib, you can see the size difference right away between the two. Both of them have, again, the 23 karat Palladium Dreamtouch nib. Alright, so let's ink this up and get to the writing sample. Noodler's Bay State Blue, which I'm comfortably wearing. And like I said before, this staining is just because I filled it a couple of times earlier, playing around with the nib. Right. I'll move this over. Like I said, the top, you're just going to, like any piston filler, unscrew, and you can see here's the gap. Very nice, very nice. Everything is nice, neat, clean, and all the details in it are spot on. You know, there's nothing that's not. There's no marks, there's no scrapes, there's no scratches. There's, you know, everything is incredibly meticulously done on this pen. Okay, let's ink it. Dip it. Piston up. That's a nice positive stop. Again, you can see that's where the staining comes from. But that does come off. You just have to rinse it off and take the time. Cap the ink. Always cap the ink. Alright, I'm going to give this a quick wipe and give you some camera shake at the same time so I can get you up close and personal and we can see what this will do. Let's start with some Clairefontaine. As soon as I get it to focus. Again, sorry for the camera shake. I always have to say that. I have large hands. You can see this fits comfortably in my hand. No problem whatsoever. So if you have smaller hands, this is also, you know, this is a great choice because, like I said, it is a smaller pen. Absolutely. Compared to a Pelican 400. When it's not posted, it's pretty close. The weight difference is absolutely there. There's a little more girth in the section, but again, very comfortable to use even if you have big hands without capping it. All right, let's see how she writes today. And as you can see right away, it is a wet writer. Very, very Visconti-like. And I like it to write really wet, so for me, it's exactly how I want it. You may see some feathering with the Bay State Blue. It's just seems to be that way. Oh, I got a little burp. All right. Let me give it a little wipe. That may have been also because I gave it a little too much pressure right after filling it. Again, the whole point of this nib is that it's a Dreamtouch. That I mean, I'm not putting any pressure at all, and it just goes and goes. I know I'm just aimlessly scribbling, but it shows you that there is, you know, no touch needed, no pressure needed for this nib to write and write wonderfully. You can see up here where I wrote Fountain Pen Day how much darker it is because I did give it pressure. I mean, this does take a moment to get used to. It's not hard to get used to, but if you're writing with a Pelican or a Mont Blanc where you're using more pressure, you know, and you get that feedback and feel to the pen, it'll take a moment to realize you don't need any pressure at all for the ink to flow. Again, I'm putting no pressure at all. This is a medium nib. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. These really aren't meant to be flexed, but obviously, it's the way the nib is. It's a nice soft material. You can flex it, and get a little bit of line variation. I mean, when I write with it, if I want, usually just the first letter of something, like when I do all, I might just flare it a little bit. If I start with an L, you know, sometimes you look for that little line at the end, and then, you know, go on normal writing. You do your signature, if, like sometimes I'll use this one, the end, and you can get that line variation at the end. So it does give you the option to do that. But again, the main thing is that it is a very, very, very light touch. Very well controlled and very wet. Now, let's go up top. And this is Clairefontaine. You can see where I burped, it did it. But where I put pressure, you can see there's a little bit of feathering in it as well. Same thing with the A, the bottom of the A, and that's, you know, this ink is brutal. I did get, make this a little bit longer today, just to show you some different papers. White lines, this is a new paper. I got this from the Anderson Pen Company at the Long Island Pen Show. Just scribbling, but you'll see this sometimes it plays nice. It's very, it's a grippy paper. It's got not texture to it, but you can feel, and I think you might actually hear it. Just trying to get you in the light. It just grabs the nib more. So this is a great paper. It's not, you know, glossy at all, but it loves to feather with certain inks. Some of the Ackerman inks that I've used, it hasn't at all. But you can see right away, it's starting right here in the bottom of the L, just from that extra ink. I'll give you a little show to see. You can get a lot of line variation in here if you want it. The paper that this really shines on, though, this will be the end of it, is Tomo River, and I actually was fortunate enough to acquire some. So every now and again I'll use it. In this case, with this ink and this pen, you'll see it really, really takes to it, and it will not feather. Even with Bay State Blue, I mean, it shows it has some shading effects to it. Lay down a really thick patch. Much I actually dragged your feet a little bit, pulling it back up, but it will dry one. Sorry about that. Camera battery died. But it actually gave this a minute to dry, and you can see here that the that's just where I dragged the feed. But on this Tomo River paper, there is no feathering whatsoever, even with heavy flow, with an incredibly wet Visconti pen. It was no issue whatsoever. So I will thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review of the Visconti Homo Sapians Midi Steel Age with that beautiful 23 karat palladium nib. Remember, November 1st, 2013, Fountain Pen Day.